So for this week's creative direction, I found various bits and bobs I quite like. Pardon me, I hope you like them as well. The first up is Craig Ward, who I found on Instagram, who does these brilliant Lego typography compositions. And I think with this, if I had to make letters in Lego, they would be really, really basic, like kind of Duplo, play school kind of standard. So when I saw these, I was really impressed, like things like, you know, the shadows he's got and this kind of ability to kind of use the Lego to form really interesting structures. And the reason why I wanted to show it is because not only is it beautiful, but it's a really clever use of something from, you know, you've all heard me talk before about the value of leveraging pop culture and popular things. And Lego is enormously popular with so many of us, but to leverage this to do quite interesting graphic design means it ends up in places like this where you want to share it and celebrate it. And I think that it's a genius move by him, if he's into typography and a typographer, which I think he is, to do something like this, which probably started out as something quite fun that he might have been doing with like a family member or his kids. And actually it's really compelling. And there's quite a few examples of it on his profile. And for me, this is a kind of very clever, strategic, self-initiated project that is going to bring him attention. So I wanted to share it because it just shows that, you know, we can all come up with these ideas and leveraging popular everyday kind of toys and pop culture and movies. There's so much that can be done, and it just feels fresh, and nobody minds that this wasn't commissioned by Lego because the quality of the work is excellent. So I just wanted to share that. This is a campaign for eBay all about their authenticity. I'll send the video, and it's kind of the reason why I sent it or featured it really was because I thought that the quality of photography was stunning. And it's just that thing of, I know they're dealing with luxury brands, but even if you look on the right, everything from the blue bag to the blue nails to the blue sleeve, it's beautifully executed and it's very kind of modern and full of pop and energy. And so I really like this campaign because of this, because it shows how with sophisticated photography, you can elevate a brand like eBay where you would trust it to buy high-end luxury handbags from, which in the past you would really be kind of like, I'm sure they're fake, because eBay is kind of feels very secondhand. So it's a really interesting kind of campaign to position themselves as a trustworthy source to buy secondhand sort of luxury goods from. So I thought just simply this photography was interesting. The colors are fantastic, and it's really well shot. And there is a behind the scenes, which I'll share with you as well, which is worth watching. This, again, I'm looking for interesting designs which don't feel like they fit. This for this OOP online flea market just really stood out because the whole premise is that a flea market is full of weird and wonderful kind of objects and forgotten sort of things that people used to love. And you never know what you're going to discover there. And I think that these kind of almost screen printed sort of photocopy type illustrations just really caught my attention, plus the really bold colors. And for a flea market or a car boot sale, I suppose, it just felt really bold and different and full of character. And I really liked it. And so I wanted to showcase it because it's a limited color palette, but they've done so much with it to make it interesting. I just felt that this was a really good example of a project that probably came in and was quite dull, and they've really brought it to life through really, really interesting things. So I just wanted to showcase that. This is an Instagram account called NotreArt, where they just showcase brilliant, interesting art and photography. I've said before that it's always good to kind of find a website that or an account that curates for you. And this is what they do. And I think this is where you can actually consume and scroll their entire feed with your subconscious brain filling up with ideas, and you never know where it'll take you. But this is absolutely kind of, for me, really, really interesting and just really beautiful. And I've picked out 4 examples here, but the whole account is full of loads. And it's just this thing of, I just think that art, as Maniba was mentioning earlier, art and everything, and you're going to expose yourself to things that are outside of your industry, which might actually inspire you. So for me, this was where I wanted to nominate this, because I felt that actually this is one of many, and I'll keep showcasing them, of just interesting accounts which are worth following, because you never know what will come up. And the main thing being, because it showcases artists with each post, every time you find one that you like, so if you really like the photography on the right, then you follow that person, and then that comes into your feed as like more visual stimulation. Next up was Yes You Can by Mark's Design. This is a kind of non-alcoholic cocktails, and I showcased this because On the left, I really like that logo, that kind of logo of the can at an angle. I thought was a really slick design and very clever use of kind of branding. And I just love the photography and the colors of this. It's full of character. It's really sort of bold and confident. And the fact they're sort of non-alcoholic cocktails, I just thought it was great. And again, it's just bold, lively, and the color selection and combinations was excellent. And I'm always drawn to color. That's a big thing for me. And I just thought, you know what, this is full of personality. And all their photography and their website and their social media feed is quite entertaining as well. There's some really good copy in that. And so everything sort of resonates. It's aimed at sort of a youngish audience. It's full of personality, and everything from the typography, the colors, the photography, and the language all map to the same thing. And I'd imagine it's probably quite good fun to work on. This is Gabe Galt, who is a kind of uber trendy, cool artist who was doing like a roundtable Forbes talk in the metaverse recently. And the reason why I wanted to showcase it on the left is I saw him doing VR graffiti, which was crazy because it actually looked quite good. So not only is he amazingly talented, as you can kind of see from the middle bits where he's doing like, you know, these amazing portraits on these buildings, but he does painting in VR. And that in itself, I think, is quite a hard skill, but he's actually very accomplished at it. So I thought that was a really interesting kind of blending of technology and the way we're moving with the metaverse. And kind of early stages, you're always going to be a bit dismissive because it's a bit laggy or whatever. But actually, when I started to see this, I was like, this could be really interesting. And it brings into play the whole world of NFTs. So if you find someone who is kind of cool and trendy like this, it's definitely worth following, because whatever they're doing, the rest of the world is going to be doing in about 18 months after. So I thought he's a bit of a trendsetter, this guy. This is the Community Spirit Company by Wyden and Kennedy. And the premise here was, I just thought that it was quite a nice, I really like the typography, that kind of like quite minimalist, like almost like printed typography. But the idea simply is that the label is blank, and they would feature some sort of community project on every different bottle that they would be donating money to. So not particularly a groundbreaking kind of original concept, but just really well executed. Everything from the illustrations are beautifully done, full of character, quite modern, to the photography, which is unusual. And then obviously the label design and the bottle design. And I thought this is the perfect pairing of concept and idea with quite sort of interesting and stylish packaging, all brought together to give a real kind of sense of character and attitude. So yeah, I love this. I thought this was fantastic. This typeface has just come out of the Colorfun Foundry. It's called Form Grotesque. And when you see it, it's beautiful. I just think it's one of those ones, it's probably quite expensive, but I do think it is a beautiful, modern and refined typeface that would work beautifully for lots of different identities, particularly restaurants and hospitality. I think it would work beautifully for that. But when I saw this, I thought this is stunning. And as it's new, it's one of those ones that if there's an excuse to use it in any project you're doing, absolutely jump at it, because I thought it's very, very stylish and refined. I really like this. This is the Deconfiguring Cartoons by Dodo Konyoyo Studio. Glad I said that right. And I wanted to showcase these because, again, it just visually just really stuck with me as being quite weird and unusual. There's no real point to them, but I really like them. And I kind of can totally see these as badges or stickers. And I really just felt that the way they're taking kind of famous pop icons and of, you know, particularly nostalgic ones. They've done it for loads. They've done Adventure Time, where, you know, SpongeBob and everything. I thought these are great. And again, they're leveraging what's familiar and what's well known, and then doing something quite interesting and stylish with it to give it a twist, which in turn will raise their profile, because they're a design studio in Peru. So quite unusual to see this, but I thought these are really good and really interesting and quite enjoyable, and it would make great stickers, prints, merch, you know, t-shirts, all that kind of stuff. So I really like these. And this is, I'm not sure if it will play, but this is, I'm always up for collaborations, and this is Jeff Koons with BMW. And this is a video that he's obviously put together of him designing the X8. I'm not sure if it will play, but I'll just keep quiet a minute. his signature is so cool. I didn't realize that. But yeah, so with that, again, what you're thinking is, if you're ever working on a project, putting interesting people together to collaborate on something always produces something generally quite interesting. So I'd always encourage that. So that was your creative hit for the week. I've